Heirloom is there to help you organize something that's very complicated, which is learning what to grow, where, and when. Because if you remember, we talked about market gardening being the idea of having everything you need for every week, ideally of the year. So that means you need to really be carefully planning all your harvests according to when you need them. And most of the crops, you want them almost every week, a certain quantity. So it's very tricky when you're growing 40 to 60 crops to predetermine all of that, and then, as we saw, where to put it. Okay? So crop planning is something that I've been doing for a long, long time. Modelen and I, we used to do it on paper. We had big pieces of stacks of paper, we had drawings, we would erase, come back, but we would try to figure out ahead of the year everything where it would go, because we had limited space. Okay? When I started FQT Farm, then it got to another level. There's 450 beds. It's just like, oh my God. So I needed to figure out a better solution to organize. But a process, now we saw the tool, and I want you to kind of see the tool before, we'll get back to it. But just the crop process in itself is just preparing as much as we can ahead of the year. And that really makes a big difference, because in the summer we're so busy, there's so much going on, there's so much work to do, that the more that you can plan ahead and not make decisions in the week. Like, I'm not thinking like in June where I'm planting everything and how much. Like, it's all pre-planned and I'm just following a plan. This week, like she showed you, like Anna showed you, this is what I'm doing. And this saves a lot of the mental load, because otherwise there's so many things that you need to think about. Okay, so Heirloom was developed to help you do that really clearly and cleverly. And it's all linked and connected. So when you change one planting, it adjusts all the rest. So it's all interlinked. And you have information from the software is getting smarter and smarter. It's going to help you make better decisions also down the line. Okay, so the reason why we do this is, again, to save mental space, but also to optimize space and time. Because we're doing successions, one planting coming after the other, and after that planting, another planting, and another planting. Let's say on one bed we're doing radishes, we seed them early April, we harvest them mid-May in one bed, harvest the radish, then the same day we transplant salads. Transplant salads, we needed to know when the radishes would be done so that we can start the salads 30 days earlier in the nursery. Then the salads are coming in, they'll be there for 40 days. And then once the salads are harvested, we're planting beans, and beans will be there for 65 days. And then we can put Hockerai turnip. Okay, but to do this really well, it's better to plan it ahead of time. And that's how you maximize the space, but also the time. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, and in the end, when you're finished with this whole process, like Anna was saying, you have just like a mastermind map of what to do when. Okay? So, but the steps before getting to the software are also important. Okay? So the first step is always to have your goals, yearly goals. And you should all have yearly goals. And one of these goals is your financial goal, sales of the year. From there, we make a game plan determining what you're going to grow, when you're going to plant it, and then we do a sales forecast. Once you've kind of imagined what you'll be planting, we do a forecast to see, okay, is what you're planning, is it on target with your goal? Yes or no? And then you adjust. And then, do you have enough room in the garden for all the planting that you've imagined? So we do the crop map. And then the crop map will really help you understand from an aerial perspective your production. And then it generates what Anna was talking about, is the calendars that you follow. It's like the game changer. That's the game changer. Because then it's very clear. You start the week and you know what you're doing. And then you order your seed and your equipment for the year. Okay? So we'll go and do all the steps together so that it becomes clear to you. Ask questions as you have it. Okay? So, goals. Is everyone in this room super familiar with the importance of setting goals? Yes. Yes. You guys are all goal setters. Like, it's like if you don't have a goal, how can you get there? You need to know where you want to go. That's why I asked you where you want to be in 5 years. By the way, this question is the most difficult question I can ask you. Like, it's really tough to know where you want to be in 5 years. But if it's clearer, like there's a better chance that you'll get there. It's the same for your season. If you want to succeed in farming, you need to be very clear on what success looks like and what you want to achieve in a given year. Okay? So we do that. Like, what I've developed is a proposition where we have 5 goals for a season. Okay? And it starts by a mission statement. It's very important that you take the time to sit down and ask yourself, why am I farming? Why will I go through the hardship of working 6 days a week, day in, day out, hot, cold, you know, all the struggles and the hardship that we have in farming? Why are you doing this? Why? It's crazy. So sit down and write why. And it's very important that you reconnect with your real, the answer to that question. And when you do this, you also reaffirm what you want to do. So we take the time to write it down, and we reread it every year, and we reconnect with that before starting a new season, just to make sure that we're still doing it for the right reasons. There's nothing worse than starting a season without being really into it. It's going to be a long season. It's going to be hell. So once we start, we need to be on board, we need to be clear, we need to be recharged. Okay, boom. But take the time to write it down. It's really, really important. Okay? Does that make sense for you all? Is this new to some of you? This idea of a mission statement? Like, if I read it, there's a way to formulate this that I would recommend. Like, by farming, we wish to create a healthy, productive, and meaningful lifestyle for our family. For Maud-Hélène and I, raising our kids on the farm and having this lifestyle was why we wanted to farm. We are aiming to be active community members, by being healthy food providers, and also we wanted to be a hub for alternatives, because we were leftist, anti-capitalist, young, people. And we were like, okay, we need to live alternatives. We want to homestead with our kids, raise them in the countryside, and be as close to nature as possible. That's why we're farming. We also want to be successful entrepreneurs. That was mostly me. Well on the way to becoming very good growers in order to teach others how to do this. Okay, again, another reason. And then this last part is very important. And this is something that if there's only one thing that you take out of this workshop today, it could be this. Like, whenever you project something you want for yourself, make sure that you don't limit yourself. Like, when people say they want to be rich, what does that mean? Does it mean that you want to have the liberty to do what you want? Does it mean that you want to not feel the pressure of working? Like, be clear, and be abundant. So we want abundance, happiness, and creativity in our life. These are really cool goals, really broad, and really open to everything that life has to offer. And this is a wordsmith that I've always used. It's in the book also. Like, when we got into farming, we didn't want to work for the farm. We want the farm to work for us. So we wrote it down. Okay? So you can create your own and use only positive words and really, really good affirmations. Then you'll have your 5 goals. And for all of your goals, you should perhaps use a framework where for all of these goals, you answer these 4 questions. Why is this goal important? Write it down. How will you achieve this goal? Write the strategies down. What specific thing you'll do and when will they be done? Like at FQT Farm, for all the goals that we've had layers where this was written in columns, and every fall, at this time of year, we revisit all of this. We check what was done and what wasn't. So we're very clear on the strategies to get to our goals. Okay? It's not complicated. It's a framework. You use it, it really helps. Okay? So an example of a goal. We wanted to have more money during our production year so that I would not need to work in the winter time. I used to work at the ski resort, do the chairlift operator. Like, I hated it. It's hysterical. But I needed to work in the winter because we didn't have enough money to pay for the farm. Okay? So that was one of our goals. And then I laid out a strategy, set it out, and then it worked. Okay? Another goal could be, well, I want to take a week off in the summer, like, or you guys here when you're really busy. But for us, we wanted to bring the kids camping. Because when I was young, I went camping with my parents, and I was like really discouraged that my kids never got to be with us in the summer because we're always working. It's kind of sad. So we set that goal, and we made it happen. It seemed unimaginable that we could leave the farm in the summer. But we did. But we planned for it. Okay? So these goals, they're your goals. They're very important. Very, very important. That's the only way to make the farm go forward and, again, have the farm work for you and not the other way around. It's really easy to fall into the trap of the farm telling you what to do. And it's not fun. Like I say, having a farm is like having twin babies. They cry and they want you and it's never ending. Like, that's a farm. So make sure that you put your own objectives in front of not just the farm. Okay? And you also need to be very clear before you start the season, what are the sales of this year? Is it 80,000? Is it 100,000? Is it 40,000? Is it 300,000? Is it 700,000? You need to be very clear on what that goal is. Can somebody tell me why this is really important?
I think you lose track of your crops because the crops are related to your money objective. So if you lose the objective financially, you will also lose the crops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're working around. The crops are related. The number of crops you'll grow, when you'll grow them, where, is related to how much money you want to make. So if you're not clear on how much money you want to make, your whole production plan is not clear. So you need to determine. We start the seasons by saying, this year we want to make X amount of sales. And we assume that everything will go well. We assume that we have the market. We assume that you have the right amount of beds, the staff. This all needs to be kind of factored in, but you need to come up with a number. Okay, is that crazy for you, or does it make sense? Sure?
I feel like it's just difficult, like in the first year to do.
Yes, it's difficult. First year, it's difficult. First year, like, you'll be off, for sure. Second year, you'll be off. Third year, you'll be better. And then you'll get to a point where it's pretty obvious where you'll be. Okay? But still, first year, do you want to make 20,000 or 80,000? It's not the same plan. If you plan to make 80,000, but your real goal is 60, imagine the number of transplants that you're doing way too much. Okay? That's how you need to look at it. And also, at one point, market gardening, when it's well done, and you become good at it, and you have, again, assuming you have good markets, that's the piece that you need to have good markets. Like the profit margin is there, you can be realistic with your number, because you need to pay yourself too. Okay? So an example, okay, a smaller market garden, let's say in my context, not in your context, in my context, but it's the same mechanic. Okay, is I want to make 200,000 in sales this year. That's my goal. Okay, that goal will determine all my plantings. Okay. Again, if my goal, I write 200, but I really want to do 300, I won't have enough vegetables to sell for 300. If my goal is 200, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to be disappointed, I'll put 140, then you will have not enough production to get to your goal. So it's really important that your goal be realistic. Okay? And it's also important that you measure, in the end, what's going to be your own income. Is it going to be enough for you to make a living? Do you need to have an outside job? You need to kind of plan for that. Make sense? You need to have also the capacity to deliver on a weekly basis. So you break that goal into how many weeks you're selling. Is it 20 weeks, 30 weeks, 40 weeks? And then how much you need to sell every week according to demand, according to seasonality. You break it out. Okay? But the goal is really important. Very, very. The sales objective determines the whole planting. Do you have questions about that? Does that make sense? Is anyone doing this?
Yes.
Yes, you are? It's rational to do this way?
Yes. The only way.
It's the only way. Is there a better way to do it?
And not to trick yourself, to be honest.
To be honest. And not pessimistic. There's both. Eh? There's the pessimistic and the optimistic. The optimistic, I just jumped the number. The pessimistic, no, I want lower so that I won't be disappointed. No. The number is the number. Okay?
Do you have any tip for somebody that is really starting from scratch and having no idea of how and where he would sell and how to do it?
Just jump into it. Yeah. You could be off so much, but it's okay. The process will lead you to figure it out. But the first year is like, come on.
Can I just try?
Yeah.
What we did also was to think about the Portuguese reality. We kind of break things the other way around. We said we want this amount of money per month, so we add it up for the year. So to make this for us, knowing more or less what our expenses, then you add, and then you see more or less roughly what is the yearly goal. So you can start, if you want to win 1,000 euros per month, okay, then you know that you will have, like James said, more or less another 2/3 of expenses. So, you have to do 2,000 euros of sales per month to get your 1,000 euros. And then you add it for a year, and then you add it for the crops.
No matter how you do it, the first year you'll be super off. So just hang in there. First year of farming is tough. It's like anything. The first marathon you run, you're probably off. It's like anything.
I believe you set your sales according to the price of each crop, like radishes.
Yes.
So imagine you have set the goal before you planted, and then you see that, imagine radishes aren't selling for this price. Will you lower the price slightly, or will you keep?
Well, that's why you have in the process there's a forecast. So you'll see if you're on target or not. What's important, okay, so crop planning is not for people that have zero experience in farming. Like, crop planning is for people that are at year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, okay? Once you kind of know what you're doing, once you know your market, once you can say how many bunch of carrots you want to have every week. Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 500? Okay, you need to know this. Okay? When I started in farming, no one was doing this. Most farmers were kind of just doing what they thought. Like nothing was planned, it was all in their mind. It's like that was not, in my opinion, the best way to approach this. Okay? So once you have that number, and again, the number is important because from that number, all the production will be reverse engineered. Okay, so you also need to decide where you're selling, which days of harvest, and which crop you'll be growing. Are you growing all crops, 50 crops, 60 crops, 16 crops, whatever? You need to determine that. And then from there, we ask that question, how much you need of these crops and when in your season. So you'll map out the whole season, you know, early April, first week of April. What are you selling? Are you selling, you know, this crop, this crop, this crop, in how much quantity? Then second week, third week, and then you do all these weeks for all of the year. Okay? That's how you determine what to grow when. And you also, we talked about having 2 harvest days. That really helps. Like Modèle was saying, you don't want to harvest for nothing. You don't want to bring back stuff that hasn't sold and just throw it in the compost. Like what was harvested on Friday is still good on Wednesday. So if you have an outlet for Saturday, like we're going to the market, we didn't sell, you know, our Hakurai turnips, then okay, when we come back from market, we'll chop the leaves out and we'll keep them and then we'll bring them to the CSA on Wednesday. And what we brought to the CSA that people didn't take, we'll bring to market on Saturday. Okay? Does that make sense? So this needs to be clear also when you start your year. Okay? And you know, I have a lot to say about each kind of market stream, like is it better CSA? Perhaps CSA doesn't exist where you are. Restaurant, like I said, there's drawbacks. Some chefs don't pay. Sometimes it's complicated with them. They call you at night for order, and you're like, what? And then markets, you know, it can rain on a market day. But having, you know, different streams for me is the best way to kind of flatten the curve. Like this is good 1 month or 1 year. This is better the other year. So I like to do all of them. And then there could be also semi-wholesale, there could be whatever, there's all sorts of ways now to sell vegetables with apps and you know, food banks and all of that. It depends, okay? So which crops you're growing, decide. And like Anna was showing you, like Heirloom is really good at telling you a lot of information. It comes pre-populated. And this is all the information from the master class, so it connects with how to grow the crop, but you can change them according to where you are. So let's say a carrot, this cultivar, which is a generic one, but you can change, has a DTM of 55 days, which means like from seed to first harvest is 55 days, and you decide that you're harvesting this bed for 20 days. This can all be changed, but that's important is that creates your planting. And then you can see all your plantings like Anna was showing you. They're all staggered so that you have continual harvest every week. Okay, and then you determine also the price of the carrot. You put your own price. If it's a bunch carrot, the number of carrots per bunch, you decide, you optimize it, you customize it, and then it's going to create for you like your average revenue per planting. Okay? That Heirloom is going to help you, but ultimately you decide. So you see all your plantings here. The goal is to have X amount of carrots every week, so the harvests, they connect. So then you have a continuous supply. Okay, make sense? That's the goal. You want to have carrots every week. For certain crops, that's not how it is. Certain crops, you want them only in the spring, only in the fall. Certain crops, you want them only in the summer. It's really you that decides, and it really depends on the weather pattern. Like here, your crop plan would be very different than mine. Okay, make sense? Okay. Then it's determining when to plant everything, and if you have, once you kind of pre-work this, you want to know if you're on target. So Heirloom is going to help you by seeing your revenue and also your bed space. So, we saw the map of the farm with all the field blocks. Once you put all your field blocks and all your beds, Heirloom knows that you have X amount of beds. And it's going to tell you if your beds are all occupied when. So here in the summer, most of the beds are occupied, and then it goes down. And it's going to give you an estimate of how much sales you should have every week according to your harvest. Then the next step is to put all these plantings into the map, like Anna showed you. So the maps, the way they work is that this is the field block, this is the bed, and this is the date. So you have carrots, the first seedling is going in mid-April, and by June, the crop will be harvested completely out. The bed is free. So now it opens for another crop to come there, which is beets, second generation of beets coming there. And then you have, space also to put garlic there. And you try and you play Tetris to try to fit as many crops as you can into your field blocks, into your bed. This takes a long time, especially when the farm is big. But that's how you optimize your space and your time. Does that make sense? Really? Sure? Yes?
How much does the algorithm behind it actually learn? So for example, there's going to be certain days to market that might be specific to individual contexts. It's not like a one size fits all. So is the opportunity to actually, let's say for example you were talking about carrots, you got 55 days to market, but I actually find at my place I need to go 70 days.
Change it.
But that might actually change at different times during the year. Is there a way to kind of input?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, because Heirloom is only starting, but it's good. They keep saying to me, "Don't say this, JM." I keep getting in trouble. Later, Heirloom will be able to know Heirloom knows where you are, and it will be connected to the database of the growers in the area. And it's going to be able to know that cultivar, X amount of days, should be closer to this or closer to that. But we're not there yet. Now it's still, let's say this cultivar is 55 days, and you know that in the fall it's going to be 70 days, you need to change it for that planting. It doesn't do it by itself. But perhaps soon enough, it will be clearer. Okay, because certain crops, depending on the daylight, depending on certain things, they take longer. So, yeah.
Is it possible to put a second crop within one bed on the program?
You need to create a planting which is two crops together. Okay. So it's one planting, but it's not built that way. Okay. You can go around it, but it's not built that way. And for rotation, so it needs to be like one crop. Okay, so the Tetris game, honestly, is where you spend a lot of time. But it becomes very clear, once it's done, you have a roadmap of all your plantings, where they go. And you can understand your whole season from a bird's eye view. It's pretty cool. Like if you don't have that, it's complicated to understand where everything will go. And it's at this point also in time where you make certain decisions. Like let's say, I know that my irrigation waters, 4 beds, 2 on each side. So I'll put plantings that need to germinate together, 2 huckeri and 2 radishes. And they're gonna be close together. And these crops, they'll be seeded and almost harvested at the same time. So I'll put them together. Or I know that one crop needs to be covered with an insect net. So perhaps if I put 2 crops together, side by side, one net will cover more beds, so it's less sandbags. You know what I mean? So if you're taking the time, when you're doing this, you're trying to make sense of many details. I'm growing onions. Onions, they're a crop that it's really hard to keep clean because the canopy, you don't form a canopy with onions. It's just like straight little shoots. So it's a crop that tends to get more weedy. So let's say I'm planting a 12-row arugula of really closely seeded salad. I might not want to do it after onions because I might get a lot of weeds. On the reverse, if there's a crop that has landscape fabric, then I might succeed it with something that I know will be clean. So you end up making a lot of decisions this way, saving you a lot of time. Make sense? Sure? Okay, raise your hand if this makes sense. Okay, you didn't raise your hand. Oh, shit. And then the last step, not the second to last step, is that once you've determined where everything goes, it creates a calendar. And the calendar, like Anna said, is like, that saves it's like, I can't imagine doing it without the calendar. And the calendar also doesn't mean that everything's going to be like that. Because obviously things change, crop failure, whatever, you change the plan. But at least you have a plan to start with. And then what's really important in the crop planning process is that whatever doesn't go according to the plan, you need to write it down. You had way too many carrots. On week 40, 41, 42, 43, you had way too many carrots. Write it down. And then the next year, you'll plant less. Your peppers were way too late. It should have been like 1 month earlier. Write it down. So next year will be better. And these are the kind of small changes that you make that in the end make a big difference on the overall success of the farm. Okay? So heirloom is really nice because heirloom allows you to have all these tasks and chores connected to a calendar. And you can move them around according to the weather. You can assign the task to people on the farm. Soon you'll be able to have it on your phone and be able to say completed task, take pictures of some certain things and store it. A crop failure, take a picture, it's going to be stored. You can put notes into it. So it's going to really help you organize your information, because we all forget, what happened in June. Like, I don't remember what happened in June. It's a million years ago. But this calendar is really nice because it tells you what to do when. And we organize the day and the week with this calendar. We'll determine, for example, that Monday we're doing greenhouse, Tuesday we're doing harvest for the morning, the afternoon there's a good weather, so we'll be doing bed prep and planting these beds. Wednesday we're transplanting, so we need to prep the beds and then transplant this. So we kind of know ahead of time what we need to do, and then we can assign the chores according to the week. And that saves, again, a lot of time. Okay? So, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. task lists, we talked about them. You could put tasks now on, this is all thing that we did on paper and on an Excel spreadsheet before. And it works, and in the masterclass, we still have the spreadsheet of all of this. The difference is that the spreadsheet, they don't connect. So if you change an information, it doesn't change in them all. And when you start playing with it, and then you change a lot of information, then it's really easy to lose track of what the plan was, what happened. Heirloom allows you to really sync everything together. And then the last step is to order all your seeds for the year. And that's going to save you a lot of money, because when you order more seeds, you get bulk discount. You shop around for certain seeds. You'll know exactly how much seeds you need. And then you can order all your yearly supply in one shop. And then that's really good in itself. Okay? So we saw that for all your crops. Considering the cultivar, it tells you how many seeds you need. That also took a long time before to calculate that. So that's the process. But in the end, what you need to remember is that if you want to be really good at market gardening, your whole year needs to be planned ahead of time. And again, it doesn't always go according to plan, but at least you have a plan. And it's going to help you a lot. It used to take us about 5-6 days to do this. Now, because the plan is always the same, it doesn't take that long. And with Heirloom, what's really interesting is now the plan again syncs. So when we make adjustments during the year, everything connects. But again, I can't say, regardless of the fact if you use Heirloom or not, this is the process that you should be doing. It's a pretty big game changer. Questions about that? Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you the price of the heirloom?
I'm not sure. I think it's in euros, 20 euros a month, something like that. It's either per month or per year. We're developing it so that it stays
It's for users, for each user, or is
for
it
the farm.
For the farm.
For the farm, yeah. What does it say?
25 euros a month or the 219 a year.
And I think you have a free trial, so you can try it. And if it doesn't work out, then you just leave it. Yeah.
Is there a way to kind of input your yields into it so
Yep.
that you can then see what went well from each bed? Ultimately?
Yeah, the yields now, again, it's pre-populated, but it really depends on your planting density. So if you decide that for you, arugula is 3 rows per 75 centimeters, it's not the same as if it's 12 rows. And the harvest module was just launched, and the harvest module will help you record your yields, so that they're your real yields down the road. That's something that they're working on. It's not me and not the program. So the masterclass connects with the heirloom. All of this, guys, is to help you just like learn how to grow better faster. And then it doesn't solve all the problems, because you still need to deal with farm workers, the clients, weather, all that, but at least the crop planting part will be cleaner, easier, and then the growing part, learning how to grow all these crops, will really help you. I think because you took this class, you have 50% off the master class, so it's a good deal. It's worth checking into it. And that's it for crop planting. Was that enlightening, boring, interesting? Feedback, please. Yes.
Regarding heirloom, for traceability purpose and certification purpose, is it possible to add the purchase invoice from the seeds, for example? The purchase invoice from the seeds, for instance, is it possible to add that information?
The purchase seeds.
invoice.
Like to show where you bought the seeds. So
They
that
want to make a picture from the invoice of the packet of the seeds for a relation with
for a certification.
Because you have to have
Probably that
a
software
crop
evolved
map.
in a ERP for
Mhm.
farmers.
Yes.
So you can invoice your sales and also register the invoices.
It's not there,
It's
it's
not
only for.
I know. I said it could evolve. I'm
Okay.
sure he is
So
planning.
at this time it doesn't, and ideally, like, Heirloom is evolving with the users. The users are, people that are in Heirloom, they write, say, this is what we like, and then that's what drives the next feature. And the more people using it, the more money we have to develop the features. So,
In Spain, we have a startup that has launched an ERP for
Mhm.
small farmers. They don't have this. So if you put both of them together, it's like the perfect solution.
let's see. But this Heirloom or not, the planning process is really important. Heirloom is just a tool. But you still need to have your objectives, you still need to have your sales, you still need to determine your sales outlet, you need to determine what you want to grow when and where. Like, all of this is really important work. It's going to help you a lot. Once that's done, like, you put it in Heirloom or you put it in a crop, an Excel, whatever, but having clarity on what you're doing every week, it's just like, man, it saves you so much mental health. And it's going to help you make smarter decisions, for sure. So highly recommend the process. Take the time, invest time in it. It's worth it. Yes.
I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. You don't do any intercropping? Like you just forget about that because it's
Yes.
unpractical? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very unpractical.
Yeah.
Because intercropping is crops with different fertility needs, crops with different insect pressure or disease pressure, and it's complicated to manage two crops in the same bed. So in the winter we change a little bit because we want to make sure that certain crops, like let's say we'll put them together so that we can maximize space to the max. But in the summer, like,
Like now we do a lot of salads, but we have some long-term crops standing that just otherwise are taking up real estate. But yeah, I agree that it's unpractical. But there are sometimes.
because you want to do successions is really the key.
Yeah.
Doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crops per year per bed. And cover crops. Cover crops also, putting them into the planning.
Yeah, maybe if the software allows you have the same bed to cultivar, two crops, then maybe this is the solution for this intercropping.
Yep, that's how it's set up now. You connect one crop becomes two crop. But even me, like, I'm not totally sure how to do it because I've never done it. But I know that it's a question that.
But I think it's not possible to have two crops in the same bed, at the same bed.
You can invent the crop.
I can invent a crop.
Yeah, you can invent the crop.
Thinking about carrots and tomatoes, for example. If I can put some crop of carrots in the same bed
Yeah.
as tomatoes, they can cropping without a lot of work for development in
Yeah.
software. It's not, maybe it's not so.
I'm not sure that we can do that
Okay.
at this time. But then it is possible, like again, like if everyone's writing to Heirloom saying this is what we want, this is what Heirloom's going to do. Like Heirloom follows the group.
Yeah.
I think there's 2,800 growers using the platform right now, so it's picking up fast. For myself, like I'm really excited because this for me is like, how can I say it? Like the top of what I thought in my mind. Like I'm not sure that I can do any better than to help create this. Like this for me this is it. But yeah. doesn't solve all the problems. You still need to manage people, and that's what we're going to talk about after the break. Okay? I thought that I would, okay, so in a day, like for me, I try to come and give what I think are valuable tips and tricks to use so that you can, have more success on your farm. It's really what I care about. It's really hard for me to pick and choose what I should be talking about. There's could be a million things. This morning I took some time to re-explain what market gardening is. I think that's important, and it's really about what it isn't also. So it's not about volumes, it's not about scale, it's about direct selling, and it's about planting in a way that optimizes, yields per square meters. So I think that was covered this morning. We can say check. That was clear. And I showed you some other tools and some things that are production units, and we're going to see them tomorrow in the fields also. Things that can help you on your farm. Tricks. We talked about the importance of crop planning. We talked about farm design. It's really important. Drawing your farm from above, making sure that it's smartly organized so that you're not inefficient because of the design. Okay, so these were like my main messages today, and I just want to finish the day by giving you like 3 tips of how to better organize perhaps your week, and then we'll do Q&A together until we have beers. Okay? Monday morning game plan. This is something that I developed on the big farm, and it helped me so much. So Monday morning game plan is what I've learned, because we're working with a team, is to make sure that everyone on the team feels invested and involved in the process, in the week, in the work that we do. And it's really simple. Like, I tried different things, and in the end, I just figured out that the best way to get everybody kind of on board is to start the week by writing down on, like, we have a big board, and we write down everything that needs to be done in a given week. All the transplant that need to be transplanted, it's written down. All the direct seed beds that need to be seeded, it's written down. All the transplant that need to be started in the nursery, it's written down. The beds that need to be flipped, it's written down. The beds that need to be covered with a tarp, it's written down. All the chores that needs to happen, they're all written on a board. And so that helps me clarify, for my own sake, the big picture, and it also helps the crew understand the big picture. And then so I write everything down, and the crop planning helps me a lot, but I also walk the field and I take my notes. Okay, this crop needs to be weeded, this bed needs to be cultivated, we need to put an insect net here, I need to do this. I write everything down, and then I show it to the crew. And then we talk about it for half an hour, 20 minutes. Just making sure that I haven't forgotten anything, and then everyone's kind of like getting with the program. Do we have it here, so it's really like that. And once that's done, we have like the workload of the week, and everyone gets what needs to be done. And then the next step is, I or somebody from the team will dispatch what we do when. So Monday afternoon, we're going in the greenhouse. We have on the list everything that needs to be done. And then you go to the greenhouse. When it's done, call me back. Tuesday morning, we'll do the harvest. Tuesday afternoon, we need to do the bed prep. You do the bed prep. I'll go and get the transplants. You're in the nursery starting these seedlings. We'll reconnect later. But we start from the master board where everything is written down. And that for me really helps clarify where we're going, because otherwise it's all in your head and you're always being asked what to do next. Modelen, 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 modelen. Oh, it's like, oh, come on. So we do this, and then every morning we meet in front of the board at 8 o'clock. We start at 8. And at 8 o'clock, for me, it's very important, and like everyone needs to be ready to work at 8. So the water jug full of water, the field knife sharpened, like if it's raining, the raincoat, you have it. At 8 o'clock, we're ready to start the day. And then we go over who does what, and then after lunch, we reconnect in front of the board. And then it's the same process. This afternoon, this is what we're doing. But everyone has the vision of the whole week. And the difference that makes is that everyone feels invested in doing the extra to finish the week. So we scratch the lists as we go. This is done, we scratch it. This is done, we scratch it. And it has really, really helped us a lot. So even on a farm where there's 3 people, you should still be doing something like that. Yeah.
Maybe a silly question, but if the aim is to get the week done with, is it also then by the end, if you get done earlier, it's like, okay, we'll finish early? Because I would sort of be like, just pile on some extra tasks.
Well, it really depends. Like, it depends on the situation and the feeling. Like, man, if the crew had an awesome week and we finish early and we have beers at 4:30, man, it's great. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
If you know that it wasn't a good week and it wasn't well prepared and there's still so much work, you push the team. And I've learned also by working with the teams, like the last hour really, really counts. The last hour of a working day is where you push everyone to finish the day. And that extra hour is really a productive one if people are pushed. Okay, which brings me to my second point, which is, I'll talk about that after, but we cap our working hours. Okay, that's something that Modelen and I discovered. Some seasoned growers told us about this, and we're like, I don't think so. We have kids, and we have this, and they were like, no, just like try it. So we started to cap the working hours. So we start the day at 7:30 or 8, and we finish at 5. And when we started to do this, it was amazing how much more work we got done because we stopped working. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but the fact that we need to focus to finish the day puts the energy into finishing the day instead of just going on and I'm going to repair this because I have time, and then it's 11 o'clock and you're still messing around. It's like when everything that's on the board needs to be done in a day or in a week and you have a limited time, it crunches the workload so that it happens. Just like when you're at school and it's like your semester paper due in 2 days, you get to work, like you get the work done because there's a time limit. And we started to do this, and it changed our life. Really did. And honest to God, like we got more done than when we were working without any time limits. Yeah.
For the Portuguese context, when it's summer, it's very hot and at the beginning of the afternoon. For example, here at Vigis, but you still keep the same schedule, or do you move?
We have animals. With the summer, we begin much more early. Okay? And we have
or what's the, is there like a siesta?
No. I proposed, but they don't.
Don't want
So the solution was they begin the day early, and sometimes when we have too much heat, they make the 8 hours in sequence without pause for lunch.
And they do work inside sometimes?
Yes, and also do work inside or in greenhouse. In the summer, we paint the greenhouse with black ink, and it's more warm in the greenhouse than in field. Okay, it's also can make some works in warehouse, things like that.
What's a good reason to cap your working hours?
Care of ourselves. Incentivation to finish. Be efficient or
Organization.
Spend time with your kids, with your wife, have a life.
Have a life, I was gonna say.
Like it's very consuming to have a farm. Like it's really intense. It's good. It's a good energy. But if you want to do it long time, you need to put limits. Because the farm never is always in work. There's always work to do on the farm. It's like endless. So it's not about putting more time. It's about being more effective with your time. So this is something that's really important. Perhaps the first few years you can put a lot of energy, you're building the greenhouse, you're doing this, you're going to restaurants to connect with chefs. You're doing all of this to set up the farm, but like after like a few years, like if you don't manage yourself better, like you'll burn out. And it happens a lot. And it's not nobody's fault. It's just like that, but there's ways that you can manage yourself better. And like I joke a lot, but like the best thing that Andre was telling me is like drink a lot of water. Like that's really important also. Like I was so busy that I would spend whole days without drinking coffee. Okay, yeah, but one point you need to drink water, and then I got really sick after a while because I wasn't drinking water. This is years of not drinking water. And so now I carry my water jug, and then I know that I need to drink at least 4 of these in the morning. And this is really important. And so taking care of yourself like is like you're the prime resource of the farm. Cheers. So it's really important. And you do have also, I would encourage you to make time for other things than the farm. Because the farm is really passionate, it's really nice, it's really good, and it needs energy to function, for sure. But, like, I would encourage you never to think about working on Sundays. Like, working 7 days a week is a disaster. It's proven, like, beyond any doubt that you're more productive if you don't work 1 day out of the week. It just allows you to recharge, take care of yourself, your family, whatever, and then you start fresh the next day. Yes?
When do you plan the Monday morning session?
Monday morning.
When do you plan it?
Monday morning.
Ah.
So the crew will meet at 11 at the board.
Really?
Yeah. So Monday morning when they get in, I send them to the greenhouse. They know the work that they do. Like I go around, I usually wake up early. I walk the fields in the morning, and then at 11 we meet for the week meeting.
I thought at 8.
No, not at 8. I need time to get back. So not working 7 days a week, like again, like you get more production done if you have one day off. And you can take care of your laundry, you can take care of your boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, things that matters in your life, family, friends. And also, I would also encourage you to have somewhat of another activity. Like, it's a good thing to have another activity in your life, not just the farm. Again, I'm speaking of experience because you get so passionate about it, it's your life, but it's actually like, you need to have good habits around farming, because otherwise it's a lot.
How many years in did you figure this out?
8. 8. Actually, it was the kids.
It's very
Because we had kids and we weren't balanced. Like we were wanting to have a farm so the kids would be on the farm, and we were always busy, and it was just kind of like so.
Yeah,
It was the
resonates.
playground for them.
It was the playground, but
Yeah,
we weren't
but
there.
stress parents.
So it's like, what's the point? You know?
Yeah, it's like taking your kids to the office.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And we did switch, and it worked. And I know a lot of young farmers that have worked with me that have adopted better habits, and they work. These tricks, they work. So try them. Try them for a few weeks. Cap your hours for a few weeks and see for yourself. Okay? I think I have one more little written trick. Oh wait, that's the best one. This is my best trick. Finish your day with tomorrow's list of what to do. That also changes the game, because when you do that, 2 things happen. First, you're prepared for the next day, because you took time to sit down and think about what needs to be done tomorrow. Okay, I need to do this. Do I have, fuel for the BCS? No. Okay, I'll go get some tonight. I'll be ready for tomorrow. Like, everything's in order. You're prepared. And also, just by doing the task of doing that list, it clears your mind for the night. Now you can go on and have a night. Be present at meal with your family. Be present with whatever. Like, you're not thinking about all the million things that you need to think about, because you took the time to think about it, you wrote it down, and you're ready for tomorrow. And when tomorrow starts, you're already prepared. And this little quick habit really changes everything. It really, really works. Takes like 15, 20 minutes. Like, for me, like when I'm with the crew, they finish at 5, at 4:30, take the time to go over everything, prepare the next day. Then at 5, everyone comes back. Hey, how was your day? And good, see you tomorrow, bye. And then I'm off too. Simple. Okay? Try it. It's going to help you. And drink water. See me, I'm drinking all day, like I'm always at the bathroom.
Do you guys eat together with the crew?
Yeah, also I would say that's a big part of, like Maud-Hélène, she's been cooking for everyone.
That really is something.
Yes, I agree.
Change the dynamics of the team.
I agree. Eating one meal together, lunch, is really an important time where we all connect. We're not a family, but we're a team, and food is really where we can connect. Yeah, I agree. That was a big part of our success at the farm and at the big farm also, eating together. And I started a farm-to-table restaurant, and the kitchen crew, they all eat together before the service at 4. It's the same thing. It's really important. Yeah, that's right. That's a good trick.
I drink water.
You eat together at 4?
4
At
is
4
2.
p.m.?
At the restaurant.
After
I didn't say it, but one of the problem with me is I'm like a crazy person. I start projects because I'm passionate, and so I opened a farm-to-table restaurant. And now
I have to run a farm and
I
take a
get to
restaurant.
I get to run a farm to table restaurant. And I manage it pretty much like a farm. Pretty similar. Except that people drink beers at the end. Sometimes a bit too much. Yeah. You guys have questions of things you'd like to?
When you will talk about the fertilization of blood tomorrow, or?
I don't have a lot to say about that.
No?
Yeah, you clearly have more to say about it than me. Yeah, for sure. On the fertility front, one thing that we've learned really early in our farming career was you need to feed the soil and the plant. And different plants have different needs. So the fertility for a broccoli, for a tomato, for a carrot is not the same. And you adjust the fertility. So in our systems, we have a compost base, which is like the base, and then we have organic fertilizers that we use depending on the crop.
Fortier or?
No.
What was it? Irrigation.
No, it's what's the word?
Meal.
Powder or we were not very well equipped with fertigation, and we're not very well equipped with soap foliage. So we front load pretty much everything. It's been working really well for us, but there's layers where we can go deeper and better.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
In the startup world, we call it MVP, the minimum viable product, just to manage the minimal investment that you have to make to have something that is tangible and can be shown and validate. So what would be the minimum viable farm and investment for someone that wants to start a farm?
It's really difficult for me because to translate my numbers to here. I think in my book, if I remember, it was around 60,000. It's probably around 80 to 100,000 now. If you want to go to like levels of 200,
Because you have the units economics
Yeah,
before, but
yeah.
it's the investment, the
Yeah.
initial investment, I was missing it.
yeah. It's, you know, it's having the wash pack area to be productive. It's having a cold room. It's having a delivery truck. It's having the harvest containers. It's having the right seeder. It's, you know, they add up. But, you know, you get a loan at 5% interest rate over 7 or 10 years. The payback is as acceptable.
If you set it like an investment, a lot of people buy a flat and put the flat to work for them, renting the flat as an investment, right? So this is something that someone could also do to complement their job with someone else, or like an investment. If you like this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, like, again, it's very difficult for me to talk about this context here because I don't know. But I just did a paper where I'm comparing the income of a market gardener and that of a high school teacher. And we make much more money.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because we're not taxed the same way because it's a business. Our farm is a business, the gas for the truck is a business expense, everything's a business expense. And in the end, like let's say we live off in our 18,000 is like what you really need to basic lifestyle. Like once I have 18,000 in the bank, I still have money in the company to spend on other stuff. The high school teacher, not really.
Plus,
So-
everything is controlled for a public servant, and you can manage your own.
You can put, some people in this room would be much better equipped to talk about this than me, but
I can
there's
talk a bit about it because I was in Gold City. I lived for 5 years from farm produce, and now I'm living as a service provider, and it's the same here, like you say. Now I pay way more taxes way more taxes. In Portugal, at least, selling products, even if you have a business or a supermarket or a shop, it's way more favorable than it is to provide services. Especially if you have a small, like I'm an entrepreneur, like you call it. I don't have a company. I am my own company, and it's now a lot of money I see it going.
It's because you're making so much.
It's hard. It hurts.
What is stopping you from incorporating a company?
You need to have to compensate having a company. You need to have a bit more income than what I'm doing at the moment to compensate. But when it was a farm, it was even with not a lot of income, but a good income. I was with Henrik, both of us. We had a business together, and the taxes were nothing.
And also you can have grants if you incorporate a company and apply for grants, right?
You could, but I also learned that bureaucracy sometimes is a false.
If you don't get the grants, others will.
Yeah.
So just hire a consultancy company to work for you and get the grant.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
But you know, one of the downsides, I just feel like putting that out there, that what I feel a lot about the subsidies in the EU at least, and I never went through with any of them, but I did apply. I felt like it actually raises the price of the project to the extent that almost it doesn't justify, depend of course on the scale, but let's say for a small scale. I remember applying for a grant, that a project I could have done with some second-hand tools and investment would be like 40,000, and then now it was like 120 because everything had to be bought first. New or, you know, so it was a little bit like, what's the point of this grant if I'm going to have to put in 40% anyway, you know, and then the 60 is almost, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Two more questions, and then I tell you what tomorrow morning is. Okay? Yeah.
In from Carton, you have animals. So do you have, because I follow other farming methods, you also met Richard Perkins, I'm a great follower of him, and he does this rotational grazing. His market garden is fixed, but would you like to say that implementing animals in like to pause the system and give it like a rest if you don't need the rentability is a favorite option?
That's a super good question. I think a market garden should be at the center of a holistic farm, and the market garden doesn't get work by the animals, because to set up your irrigation, to set up your beds, so much work that goes into the setup, and to change the setup and to recreate the setup, the benefits, for me, they don't make sense. Like bringing compost or manure from the animals to the garden, yes, but bringing the animals, no. Even the chickens.
Even the chickens?
Yeah, even the chickens. Like the chickens, perhaps, but the chickens, I like them better in the fields, under the trees. It's just better. That's how we do it. That's how I saw it. When I started FQT Farm, at first the design when I got there was to have the gardens moving, following the animals. And I said, this is very contrary to what I showed you today. Efficiency of the design, like minimizing foot traffic, foot circulation, like putting everything in the center. Like market gardening is not like, it's very intensive. It's a lot of work. It's not permaculture. It's really like lots of effort, lots of work. So anything that you can do to streamline operations is what pays, in my opinion.
It's not a question, but could you please come back to the slide where you tell the 5 ways to increase productivity? Because I only got 3.
Yeah, it's just 3. I have more, but I think I'm exhausting my tricks.
It's a fast question. Wood chips in the pathways.
Yeah, wood chip in the pathways. Ramiel wood chip.
You're doing it as well?
Yeah, yeah.
But does it work with the way you're forming beds? With the
Plow.
Yeah.
rotary plow?
Yeah. So we talked about the fungi elements, like on the little chart. I didn't say what we were doing. So we use a strategy called granular wood chip, which is the top branches of hardwood trees that we cut in the spring. Like especially, I don't know here, but in Quebec, like there's the winter, and then springs arrive, and like there's so much energy, like it's crazy. You can feel the energy. Leaves grow from minutes to minutes. The blossom, like it happens. And so when the energy of the tree goes to its top branches, then we cut these branches. They need to not be bigger than my thumb. And then we shred them, and we put that into the aisles. Not onto the bed, but into the aisles. We'll put quite a lot. And we leave it there for the season. And then you'll see a lot of mushrooms. It's wetter because it's in the bed, it's in the aisle, so it's a bit depressed, so there's more water there. And then it's doing its work, it's breaking down. And then when we raise our beds, either at the end of the year or the next year, we put this carbon back into the bed. But we've left it to decompose during the year. Otherwise, if you put that directly onto the bed, it's going to take all the nitrogen from the soil to break it up. And then your crops will be yellow. So we do this, and we do it without really measuring what difference it makes. We just think that it's good. We really do think it's good. It's like faith. And because it's a lot of work, we do like a quarter of the farm every year. So it takes about 4 years to cover the whole farm. And these chips, they last, the carbon lasts for a few years into the bed.
So by the time you throw it in, let's say, is it already completely decomposed?
It's already pretty chewed up after a season,
You
and it's really wonderful.
And then you would never compost on top of that again. That would just be the mulch that you
We just add it to whatever's coming next. It's just another layer. So we're layering, with crop rotation, with fertility program, with granular wood chip, and with green manure. So we're adding all these layers. And we're doing this because we want to have the most fertile farm for the long time. But then again, this is not supported by concrete evidence that this gives more yield. But if you do end up coming at the farm, you'll see that the soil is really nice, the vegetables are really nice. It looks and feels healthy. So tomorrow, one last?
Yeah.
Okay.
How you deal with the voles, with the rats, if you have them?
Yeah, we trap them. We trap them.
I'm not having success. They eat all the carrots and the
I don't
carrots
know. I
and the
mean,
beets.
I would also like we don't know that to such extent.
Yeah,
yet.
there's not 100 solutions. Traps, and yeah, cats.
Yes,
I don't think it works
I think
here.
I think
In Europe,
that,
you cannot set traps, right? For roots? To trap animals.
for voles and moles, like there's a little rodent, like a mouse type, like a mole is a mole and then a vole is what is the.
Okay.
And there are humane
ways we should use
There are very humane
Okay, so tomorrow we'll visit the farm in detail. This is an amazing farm. You guys will really dig it. Tomorrow morning, before we do the farm visit, first of all, we're gonna reconnect about today. We'll be wanting to do another go around and what was your aha moment? That's gonna be my question to you. So you can prepare it if you want. Then we'll break the group in two. One group is gonna stay here and another group is gonna go in the other room. And then we're gonna do a hit and miss session. Okay? So the session is in a circle. We'll go and say, this year, my hit was, you know, I bought a washing machine for the farm, so now, you know, I'm a dishwashing machine. I'm doing the dishes much faster than before we all did it by hand. Just saying, whatever. My miss is voles or eating all my carrots. I don't know how to deal with that. And then in the group, people, if they have a suggestion of how to deal with that problem, just offer it. Offer your wisdom about that. And then we'll do everyone like that. Okay? Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
That's gonna, because you sat here all day like, tomorrow it's gonna be more interactive. So I think the hard part of this workshop is behind you. You were great, you listened to me all day. Now it's time to party. And I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I think we are all okay. Some more questions?
More than okay, I really enjoyed it. I think it was great.
It was a great day. Thank you for your
Thank you.
for your ears.
Thank you.
Let's drink water.
Yeah, yeah.
Water with some ingredients.
Yes. You guys are great, and let's keep this going.
Exactly. Microbiota.